Hello everyone, Baker here again, and today's going to be another video post with the topic of giving while in debt. And I'm going to start off today with a confession, which is of course what led me to talk about this topic in the first place. And that is Courtney and I are not really giving as much as we like. I even might say we're not giving as much as we should. And of course that is going to depend on what your definition of should is, and we'll get into that in a little bit. I don't want you guys to get me wrong, we do give. We help with fundraisers, we do the cancer walks, we donate our time and our money to support school functions, all those little things that I would say the average person does. We participate in all those. We try to give our time. We volunteer when we can. We give little sums of money here and there. When there's a hurricane or a tsunami, we try to give a little bit at that point too. But we aren't at the point where I would call ourselves givers. You know, I wouldn't label us in a big... We certainly don't give 10%. And I don't want to get caught up in the numbers because I know the numbers don't matter. It's all about personally what level you're comfortable at. I know that, but let's just take 10%. I can't imagine giving 10%. You know, I'm just being honest. Some of you out there might be big givers. Some of you might not be and not willing to step up to the plate. But I'm going to try to be honest and just say I can't imagine taking 10% of our income right off the top and just giving it right now in our financial circumstances. That is a point I would like to get to, but we're certainly not there yet. How we've been viewing giving while in an intense debt reduction mode has been more from like an investing standpoint. And this is very common, has been talked about before, but how we view it is, obviously if we focus on our debt and we're intense about it, we might be giving a little bit less now, but on the long run we'll enable ourselves to be able to give so much more. And that's sort of what investing is, right? You're sacrificing some up front in order to be getting some more of it back in the long run. And that sounds good. But the problem with that is, and I run into problems with this theory when, for example, I was interviewed by AskMrCreditCard.com earlier in the week. And he asked me the question, how do you want to raise your daughter financially? Now, some of you know, some of you don't. Our daughter Milligan is only one year old, so we have a couple years before we have to really address this. But I answered it right off the bat, and I said, financially, I would like to raise her as a giver first, a saver second, and a spender third. So we'd like to just raise her with that kind of mentality. But after I answered the question, when I thought about it, I thought, you know, are we really modeling this for Milligan, even though she's young? Are we setting this example for her? Or by getting out of debt and giving less, is that a good example to be giving? For example, another extreme example, if I was to wake up on my deathbed tomorrow, something extreme was to happen, and I looked back at my life from a giving standpoint, I wouldn't be happy with where we are so far. And I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat. That's, like I said, that's an extreme example, especially as young as we are, but it's the truth. I don't like where we are right now, but it's just hard to justify whether it's worth investing, because I don't like where we are spending right now, but I'm justifying it because I know, as Dave Ramsey would say, you know, living like no one else to live like no one else. It's cliche, I know, but it's true in the spending aspect. But in the investing aspect, I'm just not connecting with it. And the other side of the coin is, I don't want to get caught in that trap of always justifying. Because what happens when we get out of debt and, you know, we want to save for college? Are we actually going to step up to the plate and start giving once we're out of debt? Or are we always going to justify with college? And then after we get a good grip on college, is it going to be retirement and saving for a house? And I can just see people getting caught up in this never-ending trap of pushing it farther back. And oh yeah, they have great intentions, but they're always pushing it back and back and back. And then they actually do get into that deathbed situation late in their life when they look back and they think, wow, I was just too busy to give. You know, I lived my entire life doing random crap and I was too busy to stop and focus my life on giving in the present. Now, I definitely don't want to get into that trap. Just thinking about it is a great way to be able to rise above it, but as you can tell, I'm just not concrete on where I want to be or if we're on the right path. And that's the two sides to the equation. So we have the not feeling like we should give enough because we should be getting out of debt to give more, juxtaposed against the not wanting to get trapped or not wanting to regret and look back and never establish that pattern of giving from the get-go. So, and that's basically it. That's all I wanted to share with you today, was just another issue that has been weighing on my mind that I just thought would be more appropriate for video, because I could really be honest about it and explain what I was thinking and the dilemma I was going through a little bit better than print. So my questions for you are, I have several regular readers that are at different points in their debt reduction. Some of you are where we are, where we still have a decent amount of debt to go, and I've gotten emails and comments from regular readers that have already completed their debt mission and are already debt-free. So from the people that are still in debt, do you struggle with the same issues? How is your giving going? Is it living up to what you want? Is it living up to par for what you've set for yourself? Are you giving as much as you think you should, or do you feel like we do, a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a holdback? And then on the other end, if you've already gotten out of debt, I'd love to hear from you about whether you went through the same struggles and how your view changed when you got out of debt. Did you change your view and step up to the plate, or did you get caught in that trap, this phenomenon that I'm explaining or even predicting for us to fall into? I would appreciate any feedback you guys have on the matter, and I thank you for getting all the way through the video again. Any specific video feedback, please email me and let me know in the comments as well. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great day.